your glutes or hamstrings have a hard time kicking in on squats, lunges, maybe you notice quad dominance, or you notice it's a little tricky for one side to come online versus the other, try this hip hinge at the wall. So you can choose which foot to start with, but you're just going to find a slight staggered stance. So it's not as big as a lunge, but just a little bit of distance between the feet. Whichever foot is forward. The back heel is pressed into the wall, right? So already with that pressure, you've got feedback to kick on the back of the leg from the heel all the way up towards the sits bone. So getting that hamstring and glute connection there. With that connection and with a feeling of weight through the front heel, pressure through the front heel, I'm going to try to hinge from the hips, creasing at the fronts of the hips. Noticing if the pelvis rotates one way or the other, try to send both sits bones back in space without it becoming a tilt of the pelvis forward. So keeping a sense of tension from the heel up towards the sits bone on both sides as you hinge, really just a crease here rather than a tip of the pelvis. One that you might note if you are finding the tip of the pelvis instead of a hinge is feeling more low back curvature, more compression there. It doesn't have to be a big range of motion. You can lift and lower, moving slow. At the bottom, before you lift, feeling a little bit more drive into the heel to pull you up. Right, and if you notice with my left foot forward here, I'm noticing a little bit of rotation open of the pelvis wanting to go open to the right, which is a common pattern in the body. I'm going to be a little bit more mindful of letting this right hip square down and driving from the inner side, the big toe mound, the heel mound, or the inner heel, and then zipping the inner thigh up. So this inner thigh is pulling me a little bit more towards the left. So just noticing where your tendencies are, where in your foot you're rolling, and trying to find counterbalance there. So just a few rounds, it's a lot on one side, you can switch it over to the other, and again, notice any patterns. Does it feel easier on one side or the other? Maybe if you're noticing, for me on this side, it feels a lot easier to kind of crease into the right hip, I might find a slight bit of heel drive through the center, maybe slightly outer heel, to let the pelvis level off and prevent it from rotating towards the right. Right, so big awareness work here as you're pressing the heels down and connecting to the backs of the legs. If you want to make this a little bit more challenging, if this is challenging, stick with it. If you get to a point of progression, you can add a little more balance element to this, the whole foot connected to the floor, and finding that same action of hip hinge. You get a little bit more hamstring in that shortened position, and just a bit more balance element to it. But no need to progress. It's not necessarily better or worse. You want to find somewhere where you can connect to that activation.